When somebody starts bulking, they usually go off the rails, and they go off the rails to the point where they gain so much fat that they don't even know who they are in the mirror. They look at themselves and they're like, was this even worth it? So, when should you stop bulking? Well, let's look at the purpose of bulking in general. So, the purpose of bulking, when we look at it, is to increase as much muscle as possible without gaining that much fat. Okay? And we do this by increasing the amount of calories we consume over the threshold of maintenance calories. So, this idea of maintenance calories is essentially the amount of calories or energy your body needs from food every single day to maintain the current body weight that you're at. Okay, so it would make sense that if you're overeating, you are going to gain weight, you are going to bulk up. But if you overeat too much, you might gain too much fat and not really much muscle in the meantime. So those extra calories will absolutely give your body extra basically building blocks and structures to help build more muscle. Extra calories also help you greatly to fuel your workouts. So if you think about it too, the harder your workout is, likely the higher intensity that your workout might be, right? And if you think about it, if you have a really high intensity workout and you're recovering properly from that, right? You're getting those extra calories in, you're getting those extra nutrients in, that is going to lead you to much more muscular growth because of that extra nutrients, right? So it kind of goes hand in hand. Not only will you be able to push harder, but since you're getting more nutrients, you're able to recover more from pushing harder. So that is exercise science 101. You need a workout, you need that stimulus, and then you need to recover from the stimulus. And then the better you recover from that tough workout, the better you're going to adapt. Boom. That's how bulking works in a nutshell. Without those extra calories, though, your body will use available energy, as in stored fat, to survive and do all the processes it needs to function on a daily basis. So, this could be something like when you're trying to lose weight, for example, and you're cutting your calories, your body's not in a prime state to build muscle because they're taking all of that necessary energy that you're eating and putting it directly towards keeping your body in homeostasis. And then even at that point, you're still eating less than your body needs to maintain its weight and to do maintain homeostasis. So then it's going to start taking it not only from your fat but also your muscle. So I just wanted to kind of set this up to describe the purpose of bulking and give you some context, because that helps to kind of know for yourself, when you should pretty much stop. So when it comes to when to stop, you got to know your limit first off, right? If you're somebody who is okay with just being a little fluffy, that's your limit. If you're somebody who's okay with lots of extra fat, that's your limit. There's no really right or wrong answer here, but you just need to know simply for you what you are comfortable with. If you are somebody who's maybe more athletic or in a sport, for example, that kind of caters towards individuals who are a little bit heavier, it might be a little more advantageous for you to go ahead and just have a little extra fat because that helps you in your sport. But for most people, going towards that little fluffy is probably better long term, because you won't have to do such a drastic cut later afterwards from this bulk, right? So the other thing I want to tell you too is that fat gain will absolutely occur, and you need to be okay with this, because without fat gain, you also won't really be gaining muscle at all. Because when you're bulking, period, when you're increasing your caloric intake over the amount of calories you need to maintain your body weight, it's going to spill over to some degree. Some of that will be muscle and some of it will be fat. Okay, there's no differentiating between the two. I will say though, the slower you go, your body composition will likely look better because you're going to be building muscle at a certain rate. And if the fat kind of matches that certain rate, your body's going to look much better than if you just build muscle at that certain rate and then put on a bunch of extra fat. You're going to look a lot worse, right? Another thing you can do to know when to stop is to simply look at your overall strength. So is your strength increasing rapidly? Is it going up super, super fast? If it is, that might be a case to keep bulking. Or has it plateaued? Has it completely gone off the case and you find that even eating an extra 500 calories per day, it isn't even helping your strength at all anymore? It's just making you more fat. That's probably a good time to kind of reassess where you're at. So if your strength has stopped and you are too fat for your liking, I definitely recommend either doing two things. One, you could either do a very slow cut. You could do a slow cut where you are gently going to ease those calories off, go into a slight calorie deficit. So then over time, what will happen when you do this is you will be able to shed off some of that fat and preserve a lot of that muscle, because the slower and the more controlled your cut is, the more you're going to be able to preserve that muscle and strength. You could also just go into maintenance for a little bit. And this is kind of a way to naturally cut just a little bit, but it's not going to be too much because if you have been bulking up to this point and you're eating over your maintenance calories, just going down to maintenance calories will kind of effectively be a mini cut of sorts. So some people like doing those mini cuts for a couple weeks, just losing a little bit of fluff and then going back onto their bulk. I've done this before. I think it works out great. Either way, it's just depending on if you want to fully go into cutting mode or go into kind of a half cut and then go back into bulking, right? At the end of the day too, what I think all people should consider doing is what we call lean bulking, okay? Now, lean bulking is great because it is essentially a way to bulk for literally the rest of your life. And how you will do this is, I wrote deficit on here. Small calorie surplus is actually what you need, not a small calorie deficit, apologize. Small calorie surplus is what you're gonna need. So maybe 200 to 300 calories over your current calorie eating, and you're basically gonna eat at this forever. And you will notice that just this slight surplus will give you a little bit of extra energy. And although it will be very, very small, the gains from this over time will compound tremendously, where you'll basically be building a very, very small but appreciable size of muscle for a very long period of time. The thing that works great about this though is that since your calorie surplus is so small, you aren't going to have to worry about really cutting that much. So instead of doing a really big bulk and then a cut where like you hate your life, you're going to be basically bulking forever. So you can always enjoy food, don't have to worry about it. If you get to a point where you get a little fluffy, you can kind of cut back and do some of those maintenance things we just talked about, right? Going down to maintenance for a little bit. That's a great option to do. But the lean bulking or clean bulking or forever bulking, whatever you want to call it, is a really great option that I'd recommend for most people to try to do once you get to a lean enough point, right? You want to start this at a point where you're okay with getting a little bit of extra fat, because as we discussed, fat will occur on a weight gain diet when you're bulking, but it doesn't have to be overblown, right? It doesn't have to be overblown. So go ahead, comment down below what your bulking plans are. I'm curious with everyone and what your goals are with bulking. And also let me know too if you've had any bulking that has gone very, very wrong, because I've had that happen too. I gained, I think it was like 10 it was like 10 pounds in a week when I was on vacation one time. I didn't have the best relationship with food and I overate quite a bit. So I'm curious too. I'm sure some of you have similar regards to that as well.